So the idea here for the main event of No Surrender is Samoa Joe defending against three other men in a match called Four Ways to Glory. And the concept is the winner goes on to be the world champion at Bound for Glory. And that means there's going to be three matches on the upcoming Impact shows to determine who will be those other three men in there with Samoa Joe. And Joe has guys like Sting and Booker T and everybody else coming at him from every direction. But it doesn't feel like Samoa Joe was really the primary main focal point. Like perhaps the company wasn't all the way bought in. You sort of indicated that you didn't think at times that Vince Russo was maybe totally bought in on Samoa Joe, but why put a guy in this spot? Or do you think there are times where the world title can be secondary? I guess there's two schools of thought on that. I'm curious your school of thought. I actually saw Dave Meltzer over the weekend give a prediction about the number of pay-per-view buys that AEW would do this past weekend.
Oh, wow.
And he said, I'm looking for whether you think it's over or under 125,000 since there's no world title match. And I thought to myself, I wonder what Jeff thinks about that. Do you think that the world title is a draw? Is it that important on pay-per-view? Should it always be the main story? Or is it okay if that's not the primary story, in your opinion?
So,
oh, don't chuckle. What is that?
No, the real diving headfirst deep into the reply to your question is, if you have quarterly pay-per-views, you absolutely, unless there's a real hot personal issue, and that can come up, creative, subjective. But if you're doing quarterly pay-per-views, kind of the centerpiece of any promotion is the World Heavyweight title. Nowadays, we've, got it into male and female, but for the lack of a better word, yes. But when you start going into monthlies, and we've talked ad nauseum on this topic, Conrad, at TNA, were we a slave to weekly ratings on Spike? Or are we a slave to our pay-per-view format, which was monthly? And pulling the onion back even further, when you take a pay-per-view and you make X amount of dollars in the United States, but that same 3-hour pay-per-view is sold at a premium, hence premium live event internationally in that slot. So then you kind of get into the devil in the details that doing a monthly format pay-per-view can be very successful from a profit standpoint. But creatively, I believe it is impossible to have a important world title match every month. It's just not enough time to build your antagonists and put your, it depends on, who's got the belt and all that. But to build your story in 4-week arcs, I think it was hard in 2008. And I think today it's even harder because our audience, for the lack of a better word, it's half on TNT, TBS, and then half on digital. So super, super hard.